So we are live now.
Welcome,
Hello,
everybody.
welcome everybody. I think this is our 51 show, if I'm not wrong. But I'm gonna say the date so we have that on record. So it's August the 29th,
And
2024. And today we have Yati with us.
welcome.
But before,
Hello. Thank you. Well, it's nice to be here.
yeah, it's a pleasure. We have a lot to talk about, no? But before we go in details, let's play the show reel so everyone knows what Yat's been doing, and we're gonna let him introduce properly. Okay, give me 1 second. It's been a long time we don't do this. I don't even remember.
Doing a
Uh,
tutorial.
Do a
I need
tutorial.
to see another tutorial.
Make sure you click the
Let me-
right buttons.
yeah, and
End stream. That'll be really funny.
I just worry it goes to his OnlyFans.
It's just a bunch of tabs. It's like,
My
oop, let me.
OnlyFans is
Yeah.
not ready, James.
Close, close,
It's not
close.
ready. Right, there you go. Share sounds. Wow, I'm getting professional on that, after
Oh
how many
yeah.
years? 3 years.
Yeah.
So you guys can see the screen. I hope I press the
Yep.
sound. Let's watch that. Ooh.
Nice.
So this is your mini reel, you call that?
It's my
no?
mini reel because I don't have like a actual reel ready yet, but it's getting there. It's getting there. There's a mini reel right now.
Man,
That's
reels
cool.
are the hardest thing to do because you're such you're obviously your own worst critic kind of thing, and everything is
Yeah.
really hard to oh no, now it's ready.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah, it's
by the
true.
time you finish like the edit, you're like, oh, it's good. Like a new year has already passed, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I missed last year.
It is. We were talking before, but before we talk about real, please, can you introduce yourself properly, who you are and what you do?
Hi. Okay, cool. My name is Yat Lung. Also YattyTheMan, online on Instagram everywhere. I'm a motion graphics designer. And I do 3D, 2D, and also a little bit of comp on the side. And yeah, that's basically what I do. I'm based in London right now, and yeah, that's it.
And you
Oh,
forgot to say you're one of our biggest fan. You come to
I
all
am
shows in London.
yeah. I'm one of
Yeah.
Senior Evil's biggest fans. That's how I got here.
Yeah. It's it's great. It's great. It's funny we were talking about showreel before. James was getting on his showreel ready. I need to do a new showreel for the studio, and you said it's been a long time you don't do a showreel.
Yeah.
the real
So
season.
Sure, Susan,
so
for sure.
let's start. I think maybe with the subject, because I don't know. For me, it feels like less important over the last years a showreel than the proper work we've been doing. So if we see the people is busy, they never really get time to do a show reel, and it doesn't feel they really need the show reel. So it would be nice. What do you feel about the show reel nowadays? Especially like a lot young people come to show reel to create new show reels, and show reel for me is something I never really trust 100% because some people put like this amazing piece done by 15 people, and he did just like a little glitch on the bottom,
Yeah.
and you hire that person and he doesn't do the job. So, but what do you feel about show reels nowadays?
Showreels are definitely I think less important when you're already in the industry because I think it's more of like a glamorous sort of like year roundup and kind of being appreciative of all the work that you've done and things like that. But I think showreel is also very similar to just like posting your work online and saying, oh, I've done this and that. Like it's just like self-advertising, right?
Mm.
To
Yeah.
get the next job and do all that. So really, a showreel is just a really big post to show that you've done all these things. But I don't know, I feel like you don't have to do a showreel every year. Obviously, none of us here do. But
we established that before the show.
Yeah, like I haven't had one in 2 years. But I think everyone has to have at least one showreel, so that way, when someone is interested in your profile or whatever, they have to see at least a collage of what you've done, because no one's going to look at a specific project and sort of be like, okay, cool. And what else? What's next? They want to see like a collage of what you've done, and you're supposed to show off a plethora of skills, which is the whole reason why you have a show reel. In terms of like, I've been trying to put in the practice of within a show reel, I kind of put at the bottom what I do in the shot, because especially in a big team and you're like a small cog in a big machine, you kind of need to specify what you have done in that specific shot or that specific piece. Yeah. Because otherwise people will be confused. Yeah. I know there's like a lot of people who have accepted a show reel, but under the false promise, because they think they're doing one thing when in reality they were doing something else. So
yeah, if it's a false pretenses, I think you should definitely put a label of what your part of that project was.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that is more specific towards like maybe students or people first starting out. Because after that, I feel like it doesn't really matter at that point. Like showreels are just really cool things that I show to the world and like, show off a little bit.
I think they're good for ad agencies. Well, first of all, sometimes you need an excuse just to shout about yourself, really.
Yeah,
but they're also,
for sure.
I think they're good for like agencies. A concise montage to show, just to send around is quite an easy thing, as opposed to a link to a project and going through the credits over who did what and that kind of side of things.
Yeah.
I think for new clients, as you say, as you're saying, James, for new clients, it's always help, is a summary what you do, but
because they might see something that they've not thought about and gone, oh, that'll fit that, something along those lines, that'll fit that project, that'll fit another project or whatever.
I think that it feels more like a business card. Like you send it out to someone. It's like, here's my business card. Here's all the work
introduction.
Yeah, it's definitely for the introduction and like to introduce people who don't know you, like to just something new. So yeah.
I think for studios it's still quite a big thing because of you do a lot more sales than a freelance does. So you always need to contact new people and show what you do. And like James said, it's hard to show, here's a project, you end up sending quite a few links. But I just feel is feeling less glamorous and important as used to do like 15-20 years ago, like when showreel, everyone waits someone's showreel to come out to see what's been done. But I think everything is so out there already on the internet.
I think it's because of social media. Like
I think
Instagram.
That's what kills.
Yeah. It's not really killing showreel, but it's more like everyone can now go to your profile and just kind of like see what you've done. And even have behind the scenes, which showreels don't really touch on them. They don't really show behind the scenes, they show the final product. Whereas when you go to someone's Instagram or their social media, they usually have a breakdown or something like that, which is definitely more interesting like than the showreel itself. And a lot of people like seeing that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice when you go onto someone's website and you've got a more in-depth look and behind the scenes and how things come together. It's a bit... adds depth to a project.
Yeah, I completely agree. I want to touch one subject that this is the main reason I think I wanted to invite you to come and talk to us, because I don't know, it's like I come from a complete different generation. I've been in the industry for 25 years. Like in the beginning, we used to see people really excited about doing the projects. I've been talking with different studio owners, and we don't see as much nowadays. It tends to be a job, it's not something people used to do, like doing personal work and pushing the boundaries and trying, to improve. Feels more like 9-to-5 job. They come and do the job, get the pay and leave, It's more about how much you pay me, what it is I need to do and leave. But with you, it's a little bit different because I still see that sparkle. I used to see a lot of people in the past that really want to go home and push and try things different. I think one thing stuck to my mind when you went to watch, I think it was the Ghibli film, You came back and make the chair running.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
So good.
And for me, it's like I love seeing this in people, because I think in the end of the day nowadays, people is technical, a lot of people is creative, but to have the passion to really push a little bit further the job is rare nowadays.
Yeah.
It shows
and
as well. The
is
love always comes through on a project.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
It's
for
true.
sure.
And I can see, if we look your mini showreel, half of that is a style you've been playing with shades and everything, and you can see it's unique, it's you. And how do you still, like passion and feel, like every time I talk to you, you're so excited about, things. And that is really, motivate me, and
Oh
it's not
wow.
many people does that nowadays. So, it's a good, I want to understand a little bit more behind, your day-to-day work, why that passion, because I think for the young generation, or even people that lost that passion, maybe it's quite interested to try and catch up again,
Yeah, I think it's very much like I really love motion graphics. Like I freaking love. I can swear. I don't know who gives a shit.
You can
I
swear if
You
you
can
want.
swear, yeah,
We're not
swear.
monetized.
Yeah.
Sure. I fucking love motion graphics. It is incredible. Well, I started out like as a kid, I always wanted to do like film and things like that. And then YouTube started popping up, and there's all these like visual effects and motion graphics things that I always wanted to do. And I love that post-production side of it. And every time there's a new effect or a new style that comes up, it's like so interesting. And I love delving into how things are made and how they achieved this certain effect and everything. And so in the end, I just did a lot more experimental, like just trying things out, like trying to replicate what they've done and trying to do this. And so, like for example, with Suzume, which is the movie that you mentioned, I was so intrigued by how they did the chair, because the chair, I knew when I was watching the movie, it was in 3D, it was CG, but primarily it was a 2D film. So they had to have made it like 2D in a certain way. So what I did was I went straight back home. I tried to remember as much as I could how the chair was looked in the movie, and just did like a fan art basically of that certain thing. And it was really fun to just try and figure out how they did it, and then kind of like almost turned it into my own, but not really. It was based off of what I've learned in the past, and then kind of like creating a thing, like a fan art for it. And I don't know, I just really love different styles and like kind of like colors. Every time something looks really cool, I would just go back home and I'll just try and figure it out. Like there's so many things. I have like this hard drive of things, basically a bunch of projects which I've never finished because they all look freaking awful. But but it's just a bunch of like me trying out things. I have Pinterest boards of full of like inspiration because I want to try and recreate it, which ends up falling flat. But yeah, it's like I just love the visuals, and it usually those sorts of things give me like goosebumps or something like that, and I want to recreate that feeling of like, oh, I want that goosebumps back. I want to, how do they make it so that I can have this feeling? That's
I
that's
kind of want to see a show reel based on the hard drive of unfinished projects and experiments that
oh,
you
that's
don't
so
deem good.
okay. That's so cool. Actually, I
Because
could write
that'd be
that
fun,
down.
man. I think that'd be
So
super
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
It's like all
Yeah,
the
because
desolate projects just go into the
Yeah.
garbage bin.
it's kind of the same you're doing. People's been doing nowadays, style frame showreel, with lost pitches and everything. But it would be a lot more fun because it's like a motion piece. Then never got real life on that. That would be really cool to see.
Yeah, that would be
I watched
super cool.
I watched Suzume. Well, I think it was a couple of months ago. I just love the idea of the chair being like a little character. It's such a, and the emotion and stuff they get through a chair is amazing.
Yes,
I love
it's
that. I
so
love that.
incredible. Yeah. If you ever go and watch the movie, it's so fantastic. It is absolutely incredible. I think it's on Netflix. It's good. It's
Yeah,
very,
that's
very
where I
good.
watched it.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
so with your journey to like animation, so are you from Hong Kong? You studied in Hong Kong.
I'm from Hong Kong, so I was born and raised in Hong Kong, and I studied in Cardiff actually in uni.
What
Um,
took you from actually, first of all, Hong Kong is quite. I remember like maybe like 10, 15 years ago, there used to be quite a lot of animation and motion graphics studios based in like Hong Kong and Singapore mostly.
Hmm.
But is that? Do you know if that's still the case?
I think there are quite a few popping up. Some new ones. I worked in an agency called Carbon, and they're doing really well. They
Oh, I've heard of
have
Carbon.
yeah. There's actually two Carbons. Like they usually mistake. One is Carbon VFX, which isn't the one, and there's
Yeah.
Carbon TV, which is the one that I worked in. They have an office in Hong Kong and Singapore, and that's really
Mm.
what got me started with motion graphics and working in a team and things like that. And it was really fun. They did a lot of really crazy stuff. They took me on shoots, which is super rare for a person
Oh
who
wow.
just sits in a computer all day. Um, so yeah, it was awesome. I think Hong Kong has got a pretty decent motion graphics.
It's a very creative city, so it would make sense,
Yeah,
would it?
yeah. It's definitely up there. It is pretty nice. I can say that myself.
So what took you from Hong Kong to Wales to the to London, and how it'd be interesting to see like a comparison because obviously Wales is very different from London, which is astronomically different from Hong Kong.
Yeah, I think the reason why I went to Wales is because I found this course in a place called University of South Wales, and the reason is because that's where they filmed Doctor Who.
All
And
right.
yeah, because all the productions, all the BBC productions, usually they'll shoot in Wales, and they have a really big sort of like industry there. So I thought like maybe if I go over there, because at the time I wanted to do visual effects, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll go over there and then kind of like beat up with some of those guys, and then but then over time, as I was doing the course, I realized motion graphics was the thing for me. It kind of made me feel like, oh, I can do creative freedom. I can do all this sorts of things. And then when I finished the course, I went back to Hong Kong and basically went to that agency that I talked about and basically started doing a bunch of motion graphics. They taught me a lot. At the time, I didn't even know any 3D. And then I gradually got the courage, and then we started doing a lot of 3D at the agency. And yeah, after that, I was like, okay, I've done my agency time. My parents wanted to come to London, so we moved to London.
What did
And
what do they think of motion graphics? Because it's usually quite a difficult one to explain to parents.
yeah, it is very difficult to explain. I tell you this one thing. When I told them that, I was like, you know what? When I go to London, I'm gonna go freelance. And they're like, no, don't do that. Please, please don't do that.
What?
And then
Not a
now,
doctor?
yeah, yeah. I remember when I told them I was gonna do this course called Visual Effects and Motion Graphics. They're like, please just do something like media. It's broad enough that you can get a job. I swear to you, it'll be fun. And then now they look at me and they're like, okay, yeah, you're doing good. Yeah, whatever, you're fine. It doesn't really matter.
So did
Um,
you move to London and start work as a freelance straight away?
yeah, I
Or you
did.
never worked full time in London?
Oh no, not in London. I think like when I came to London, I was like, you know what? I still have a little bit of money to like last me maybe a year or something. And okay, maybe I'll just start freelance. Maybe I'll just try it. Who knows? I'm still young. There's like no risk here. Let's just do it.
Hmm.
And
Which
yeah, and
which year did you move to London?
2022. So like um
2020.
yeah. It was actually like it was very funny because when I came to London, 2 weeks later was the first See No Evil I ever been to,
Mhm.
which was it
Ah,
was freaking cool. And that was when I was like, that was when I was new to London. I was kind of like, I don't really know anyone. I had a friend here at least, and then I
that's
came
cool.
and I came to See No Evil. I was like, whoa, oh
It
my
was a rumor
gosh.
friend.
So yeah, so many motion friends around here. Oh my goodness.
Friends, yeah.
Yeah.
And how was, the adaptation for you moving to
Mm.
London and start getting work? Because I always really intrigued because when I moved to London, I moved in 2002, so 20 years before you.
Yeah.
So
You
we
went
didn't
straight into
have,
sushi though.
yeah, we didn't have Sinoiva, and also we didn't have internet. The
Yeah.
way to find job in that time was to look for. They had a broadcast magazine, then you could buy and had a job session in the back.
Mm.
So it was
Oh.
really
Oh, and the
weird.
K's guide as
But
well, wasn't there? Was it the K's guide?
yeah, I think yeah, something like that. So how was now? When you move, come from another country, did you? feel was difficult to break through, because I get a lot of email people asking me, I'm moving to London, any tips and then anything. But it'd be nice to hear from someone, moved to London now, like in the last few years, and see how you react to that,
Especially post-COVID as well, because it's quite an
Oh,
interesting
yeah,
time
it
to
is
use
post-COVID.
2022 for sure.
Yeah.
I think post-COVID was actually something that sort of helped because a lot of people wanted to go freelance, and so there was a lot
I was
of
going to say
open
dead,
jobs.
but
That's
way better.
okay, right. Right. Besides the absolutely horrible, horrendous phenomenon that happened, a lot of people started working from home, right? And so therefore there's more open opportunities for freelance than ever before. Also, like, people were working from home and then started to find the opportunity of, oh, maybe I should go freelance if I'm not going to the studio anymore. And so I think there were like more opportunity, more openness to freelance at the time. At least that's how I think about it, because I was new at the time. But yeah, it was because of the internet. It was basically the internet. Like, I came over and I started like cold emailing a bunch of people, and the first month it was like sweating bullets. It's like, oh my God, I'm not getting anything. Like, I'm just sitting here playing video games. I'm just waiting. And I was like, oh no, what should I do? And then one call came after another, and then like it's tough. The toughest thing is because I was new. I had no name to myself, in London at least, or like in Europe.
I think that's
that
the
sort
most
of
difficult
industry.
part, like to get someone to take
Yeah.
that first
Yeah,
chance.
yeah.
Because I think it's all about, end up all being about who you know, in the end,
Yeah.
who introduced you or recommend you
Yeah.
nowadays.
So luckily my Instagram profile was like kind of big enough, and my work was kind of like impressive enough that like they took a chance at first. And I knew for sure that if someone took a chance on me, I have to really impress them. Like, I'm not saying stay home, like stay at work for like another hour or something like that. I'm talking about like
But
maybe
just push a little bit.
push a little bit, do the extra mile,
Yeah.
like under promise, over deliver, things like that. So that way they really have the
That's
impression.
how everything should be,
That's how everything should be. Under
Yeah, but
promise, over
doesn't work
deliver,
like
man.
that. Doesn't work
Yeah.
like that. Everyone
Sounds like you're ready for
overpromise and
marriage.
don't
All
deliver.
right. Oh, God. But yeah, it's basically that. It's like you're impressing them like first and foremost, so that way they can come again, and then you can, get more jobs. So now, before, I used to be cold emailing a lot of people and sort of like trying to reach out to as many people as possible, doing LinkedIn outreach, which I think is like, I'm not very good at playing the social media game. I haven't posted in freaking ages, but like, yeah, like eventually I started getting more stable jobs, as in like just like more regular emails from clients, which is
That's
what
good.
I kind of want to go for. So
Did you
yeah.
get much of a response from like cold emails, or did you kind of delve deeper into the company and like find a specific person to email rather than like an info app?
Yeah, surprisingly, I think I tell this to a lot of people. Surprisingly, my cold emails are never got back to me. None of them, man. No, absolutely none of them. I tried. I even did the Freelancer Manifesto, that one book
Oh
that
yeah.
Joey Corman wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, all those tactics, none of them worked. I was like,
Nah.
it was awful. The one thing that worked was actually meeting people, going to festivals like Off, and I went to Pictoplasma as well, and meeting people in person. And that actually led me to meet a bunch of people. And what they care about first and foremost is personality, and see if they want to work
It
with
is.
you. Like, your work can be good, but if you're an asshole, then you suck. So
Of
like,
course.
I think that's the acid test, isn't it, to meet someone in person? Because if like in my opinion, if you can imagine yourself going for like a after work beer with this person, then you're on the same, you're on
yeah,
the same kind of
exactly.
wavelength.
Yeah.
And I think people forget about, it's about trust in the end of the day. It's like what I said in the beginning. I don't believe in short or reels much, and I believe more trust that person, if he gonna deliver you or not the job,
Yeah.
that you give it the chance, or if you have a recommendation. But it's the same for companies, because It's in the end of the day, it's not gonna be like Cookie work with Nike. It's gonna be Thiago work with John.
Yeah.
So if I fucked up, John fucked up. So, it's not Nike that fucked up that job. So I
Yeah.
think meet people is still the most important thing in our industry.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's like personality first and foremost. Well, that's why when people are
Personality,
like,
yeah.
when people say, "Oh, it's all about the connections," it's like it's true, but it's because they want to get to know you rather than
Mm.
like it's like, yeah, your work shows obviously, but you also need to have the personality to back it, or at least them liking you to back it. So yeah.
So what
Yeah,
kind of got you into animation from the start? Like what drove you to pursue VFX and animation and all that kind of side of
Oh
things?
God,
Like, is it just like childhood?
yeah, childhood. It was like it was a YouTube era, I think. It was like when YouTube started and there's like these bunch of skits. And I get to nerd out a little bit now. There might be like
Good.
there's this YouTuber which is called Freddie Wong. And he's like this American guy with long hair. And he fucking loves doing visual effects like action movies and action scenes on YouTube. And that was like, oh my God, that's so cool. It's like, well, and then you watch their behind the scenes. It's like how to use a muzzle flash in After Effects. And I was like, I can do that at home, really? And then I
Is
I
that
started copying him. I was just like having Nerf guns, and I started like doing muzzle flashes and at home and stuff like that, and making like
is
small
that
home
rocket jump?
videos.
Is that right?
Yeah, rocket jump. Yeah.
I remember
And
like yeah, I
so
remember when like back in the day, like him making his videos and he just explode like took off.
yeah, oh, so good. It's just these like little fantastic action skits, which is just like, oh, there's like no real story to it, no nothing. It's just a bunch of really cool action effects. And I was like, oh,
Mm.
that's amazing. Like, Corridor Digital, Corridor Crew, that those
Yeah.
sort of guys. Yeah, I also grew up watching them and their skits, and it's absolutely like amazing watching them grow and do all that stuff. So I also wanted to do that as well. And animation just became part of it because the more you investigate what After Effects does and all that stuff, you eventually come to animation and motion graphics. You're like, ooh, what is this? Oh, I can do a title sequence. Ooh, oh, Video Copilot. And then, all that stuff. It's wicked fun.
Wow,
So
Video
yeah.
Copilot, you really bring like histories here, no?
Yeah. It's like, hey, what's up? Andrew Kramer here for
Yeah.
another.
I think so many people start a career with Andrew.
Oh
So
yeah.
it used to be a really good times. But it's the same way you're saying, because he was, if you get Andrew Craig, the beginning was all VFX as well. So everyone
It
kind of
was.
get into After Effects, learning kind of a VFX compositing, and then move to animation and motion graphics. So it's a similar story, just different era.
Yeah,
I
it's
like that it's
true.
organic as well. I like that, you did it because that's what you felt inspired by.
Yeah,
I
I think
think this probably goes back to what
yeah,
Thiago
no,
was saying
no.
earlier about having like a little glint in your eye of passion.
Yeah, I think it's more like I see something and they're like, "Oh, that's so cool." Like it's giving me like, "Oh man, this is like incredible." Like I have like jitters
You're
just
the
thinking about
best.
it. And then you just like I was like, I want to try and recreate that feeling. I'm like, how did they do it? How did they make it so cool? Is it the edit? Is it the timing? Is it the animation? And it's like, what is it?
So were you quite art led when you were at school as well? Like
Um,
before college and before,
oh God.
all
No, I
this.
don't, I don't think so. I think I was bad. I was bad. I was really bad at art. I think it was because I was bad at drawing, so I was kind of like not so good. But I was really good with a camera. I think it was
So
because
you're always
like
like, I'll
my
fix this in post.
yeah. There was a lot of that, yeah. Um, I think rather than like because the art in high school at least was like a lot of like classical art and like collaging and you putting things on canvas. I was a little bit more like digital. So things like not photography, but like filmography, getting like a video camera. We had a film course which allowed us to kind of make short films as part of like a subject back in high school. So we did a lot of that and it was super fun. It's just like doing, and then that's how I started learning editing and like framing and pacing and all that stuff. And it was just really fun to just like get a camera and yeah, I still have it somewhere. I filmed something recently, but yeah, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it's nice just to make stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Less of the constraints.
There was another thing because like sometimes I'm too I don't like sitting on a computer all the time. So like the other day, it was a friend's frisbee tournament, and I was like, hey, let me film something for you guys. Let me just do it. And then I just took a camera out and I just started filming a bunch of stuff, and it felt so good just like being like outside and just filming this material that I can eventually put it in an edit and then do some color grading and
Feels
like just
quite
doing cool.
freeing. Sometimes it
Yeah.
feels quite freeing not to have a plan and like say like just film stuff and then I'll figure it out later on or some maybe in like 3 or 4 years time it's like oh I've got an idea, oh I've got the footage for that.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly that. And also like in a different medium as well, because like sometimes motion graphics, you're too busy doing shapes or characters and like typography. Sometimes you just want to break out and do something completely different because it's still similar because it's a moving image on a screen, but like it's a little different because it's tactile and more like, yeah.
It's
We
quite
have
good
a
that oh sorry.
we have a question from Jing, and she asked, "What are you working on at the moment?
Um,
Can you tell us?"
no.
No. Any personal work?
Um, Oh, what am I working on right now? Personal work, I can say everything. I don't know, working on a show reel, I guess. Um,
So some people comment here said, if this is a mini show reel, they can't wait to see, a max reel,
the max reel. Yeah, there'll be a
Yeah.
max reel. Yeah.
So for what you're saying, the size really matters, no?
The size really matters. What are you
Yeah.
talking about here? Yeah.
Oh yes, right.
What
The
are you
show
talking
reel
about
size.
here? The show
I'm
reel
talking
size.
about the show reel size.
Show reel size really matters. No, the show reel size doesn't matter, but I think the effort put into it really matters, I think.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Like
That's
I
good.
have like it's so funny. I have a Pinterest board which is Showreel 2025 because that's when I'm going to like I'm still working on it and it is Showreel
But
2025.
but better than you put showreel 2024 and you never finish.
Yeah.
That's a good way to start.
Yeah. I'll go back to the personal work. I am working on like this thing. It's almost done, but I've posted like a couple of things. It's like basically a small fake game trailer, like a PS1.
Frisbee.
The Frisbee one will come soon. Frisbee one will come
Okay,
soon. Trust me, man.
they asking when we're gonna see
We're
that.
gonna see a Frisbee. I actually think there might be some guys who are in Frisbee because the Frisbee group also has a lot of motion designers in it. So
That's kind of random. Do you remember a video game called Windjammers? Used to be on the Neo Geo.
no, I haven't.
Ah,
Oh,
it's so cool.
Windjammers.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they re-released it last year on the Switch, but
Whoa.
it's just really cool, man. It's just very old school arcadey,
Ah,
big butch characters throwing
yeah,
frisbee. But
that's
man, it was such
cool.
a cool game.
Yeah. The thing
Yeah.
that I'm working on right now is more like a PS1 inspired, like think like Zelda, like GameCube-esque, or like a Metal Gear Solid, like that sort of PS1 graphic-y style. But like,
Have you gone like
uh,
really blocky, like the mip mapping, so it's not smooth? All the
oh
textures are
man,
all blocky in
you know
old school
what? I
style.
tried it and then I was like, oh, it isn't working for me. So I just added my own stuff to it. And now it's like an amalgamation of a bunch of different
Nice.
like colors and like styles. And I also experimented
Wow.
with Blender. So some of it is in C4D and some of it is in Blender. It's like over a year of just like a bunch of shots, which I'm finally putting together into this fake game trailer. And hopefully it'll be kind of cool and chill. And yeah.
One thing I used to
That's
really like
cool.
about PlayStation 1 games is the geometry used to jitter because it wasn't like
Yeah.
you noticed that like roads used to go bloop, bloop when you got near the camera, stuff like that.
Yes, yeah,
I
and that
love
was
things like little details.
because it's called like I think it's like pixel snapping because the PS1 can only um have a certain amount of resolution on the screen. So every time the
Mm.
geometry would snap to a certain like
To a point.
spot, yeah, to a certain point. So the closer you got, it kind of like the jittery it got, the more
It's
jittery it
interesting
got.
because that kind of defined that era's style as well.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
some of the later on games they dealt with it really well. Like or they figured out how to hide it better. Like what is it? Is it Ridge Racer Type 4? Those graphics on the PS1 are amazing and they're
Oh.
silky smooth for a PS1.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love the there's like CRTVs where they have like scan line screens. So
Yeah.
basically like the pixel art like at the time basically try to utilize the fact that the CRTV would kind of blend colors.
Mm.
So they would create pixel characters which look kind of awful if it's just in pixels, if you see it on an HD screen. But if you see it on a CRTV, they blend it in a way that you can see like shading and like eye sockets and things like that. So it's really interesting how they tried to
So
take the limitations of the that time and
turn it
kind of
into a
like
positive.
turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's getting quite nerdy here. There was a similar thing on the Game Boy, because the pixels on the Game Boy used to kind of retain some of the color for like, half a second or whatever. So they figured out if you turn a sprite on and off really quickly, it
Yeah.
looks like it's transparent, which is quite one of the special
Oh,
effects on the Game
that's
Boy.
so
But
cool.
it's like a similar thing, using the disadvantage into an advantage. But the
Yeah.
problem is when you play it on modern hardware, a bit like CRTs on flat screens, it
Yeah.
just looks really
It
horrible.
looks bad because it's just flashing, and you're like, oh, what is this? Yeah, it's the same with the pixels on a modern screen. It's
They're
it's
too
just
clean.
awful. Yeah, too clean. But if you play on a CRT, it's like it's fantastic. And it's just based off the medium that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. And speaking of,
Interest.
yeah, we can bring it back. We can bring it back. We can
No,
come
no,
full
no, no, no.
circle.
Carry on. No,
Like,
carry on. It's really funny to
it's
hear.
actually a really good point where like most of us, we now kind of create things that people will see on a phone, like most of the time. Like you think
Yeah,
about
it's
doing it
true.
on a big screen, right? You look at it on a big screen. Sure, it will look good on a big screen, but how does it look on a small screen? Because you need to make sure you have like big retention on a screen. Not to mention it's on a small screen, but also a lot of audience retention, because maybe in 5 seconds they'll freaking leave or something like that. So you have to make sure
Yeah.
things are nice and like powerful and bold and things like that.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I think the landscape has changed where before you could make more subtlety and more like nuanced sort of videos. And now it's more like impact, because when you're doing advertising, obviously, that's why the big flashy texts. This is before TikTok. Remember like the trend where there's like the big text will come in as like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Apple shit, and they're like, oh, and turns out that worked really well. And then now TikTok or like social media, they have like the text which is coming on screen just to have like retention and things like that.
I'm kind of surprised we
To-
haven't had like our first feature-length portrait film yet. Because surely it's just a matter of time.
Just a
Right?
matter of
Yeah,
time.
it is. It
Like,
is.
sorry, Netflix or someone should have or will do explore this, because loads of people are on trains or whatever watching their phone and
Yeah.
that kind of side of things.
Do you know what it probably is? It's because it's too long. It's too long.
Yeah, I
for
mean, it
some-
goes against the attention span, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
But talking, just holding on the subject you said about this, most of the things we do nowadays is for a small screen, and we're talking about like text jumping and flashing and things, because it's changing quite a lot our field, because you need to do good animation to do well with algorithms, and to take attention of the people. Do you think this is we going backwards now? We're gonna bring the quality of our work, we're gonna degrade that, because
that is a good question.
if everyone watching on this, why agents is gonna pay £500 whatever for freelance if they can get a junior that can do boom, a bounce, and the text is there, and get more reaction from people on the social media nowadays, because everything is going one way or the other, is going to social media nowadays.
Yeah, I think okay, that's a very good question. That's a really good question. I feel like our sort of thing won't go away. I think it's because people still need big campaigns, and people still need to stand out in a way. And if everyone is doing the freaking word thing, then like nothing, then everything will be generic and stupid.
Yeah.
Whereas the reason why they come to us is because they want something special, different, something special, different, and like just like trying to knock their socks
too
off.
real for him.
Yes, it's the same as what I talked about with like the reason why I got into motion graphics, because I saw something and it blew my mind and I wanted to do the same thing. like that's probably what the agencies want from us. They want to create something where the audience or the consumer would look at it and go, wow, this is freaking amazing. This is none like anything I've ever seen before. I want to buy this product or like do this thing or like whatever. It's basically basically a call to action and doing it
Yeah.
in the coolest manner possible, basically.
I think
And
this
so I
is
think,
also
yeah,
this is
go
also
on.
where this is also where AI falls down as well.
Yeah,
Like
I think so as
because
well.
one of the guys was mentioning, someone's mentioned
Yeah,
about
it'd be
AI
nice
in
to
the
touch
chat,
on that.
Jay. And I think where it falls down is again, it'll make everything look the same. Whereas I think creativity is connecting the dots that don't make sense. And I
Yeah.
think that's what you can't program yet per se, not of any integrity.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think
it's a similar thing.
like you can tell when something's lazily done
Yeah.
nowadays, especially now. You remember when like before there's a whole lot of like lazy visual effects in movies back in like 2010 or something like that, and people were like, oh, lazy visual effects, this is awful, this is bad and shit like that. I think a lot of people can tell, and especially nowadays when they look at an AI art or like a deep fake or like a lazy TikTok like video, they'd be like, oh, okay, this is terrible. Whereas when they see a true creator or something that's actually unique, they'll be like, wow, this is interesting, I'll actually take my time to watch it. So yeah, I definitely think like that is also where AI falls apart, is that, it's not
Yeah,
handcrafted.
but one thing, I agree what you guys saying, but we discussing this as the point of view of an artist or someone who work on our industry that knows what is good and bad. If my mom is gonna work the TikTok video or what I do is no difference for her, and we're talking what about 90% of the population probably. So the handcrafts, it is scary to think like that, because what TikTok is bringing is you don't need quality. You get like fucking influencers making like $250 million a year,
Yeah.
talking shit with like going to shit effects that is already pre-created and everything. So that person never gonna. I tried years ago. I tried get into the biggest YouTube channels and trying to do like idents for them, the same we used to do for broadcast, and try and move the studio and say, fuck, they make millions and millions. They have more views than a fucking whole UK. So they can spend the money. They will never spend the money.
Yeah.
For them, it's unbelievable because
the value proposition isn't there.
It's no valuable for them. So this is something scary me more than the AI, because we're talking about the AI. It's gonna turn to be common things, but these people don't really care. And now more and more I see, people is just caring about like influencers and everything. An influencer worth more money than our craft work worth, because they bring more people, more value to the brand, And last week I went to record a podcast here, and the guy, the channel they have is managed by agents that manage just YouTube. So they have 80 channels.
Yeah.
They create and they help them produce to see what goes well or not. So it's like investing like in 100 companies, and let's see if 10% goes well, fuck, we made,
Yeah.
So it turns to be like that. So it's not about like quality anymore. It's about turning to be about the amount of they can put out there and see what works or not. So that's quite scary for me.
Yeah. I totally understand the validity of it, like, because I do feel like it's like more than ever online. It's like a lot of like just more, like get more content out there. It's the same with how like with us, we probably need to post like what once a week in order to get our like social media up and coming, so that way like people will actually notice what we do. But I still think quality of work persists. I feel like
I completely agree.
at the end of the day, like you said with those like 10% YouTubers, I'm pretty sure they're not shit YouTubers. I'm pretty sure they're very well done and like put quality in their videos and actually be mindful of what they create.
Yeah.
So like it's the same as how like when YouTube started coming in, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, all these content creators, they're just waving a camera around and putting shitty things online. That's not really true. There's a lot of work that goes in behind a video.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
There is.
So,
But you're talking about YouTuber.
No, I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about like people can differentiate between a shit thing and a good thing. And we provide the good thing, which is why I'm like,
there's definitely I think there's space for both.
I'm not sure if they can. I'm not sure
I
if
think
they
can. I think look, here's the thing. Unlike you, I kind of have faith in like general public. I have faith that people have taste. Like I have faith people have taste.
I do understand, but I went out for drinks with a friend, and she is a lawyer and she working for, it's a social media influencer company, all right? And they have this fucking influencer conference happening right now in Brazil. Then, it's just people getting paid a lot of money to talk shit. The thing is, I don't know how much you know, but Brazil is like a virus on the internet, Brazilians, because the size of the country, Brazil consume internet in a way is the biggest consumer of social media platforms in the world. Okay. So, and if I see how Brazil used to be and how Brazil is now, it's changed because people nowadays see they can make millions and millions, to be an influencer. And I'm not talking an influencer like you're saying, then create content, then generate content, and it has a really good process behind that. There is quality on that. I'm talking about influencer that is make $250 million, talking shit. It's literally talking shit, and I think what internet gave to us nowadays is access. An idiot can find a group of the idiots to talk about shit and be racist or be, homophobic or be. So the internet gave the voice to people. So we're seeing like a transformation is quite big now. So it's quite hard for me to see, people really pay attention on quality more than, what is going on now. I still believe quality, is better than shit. But we're talking about what? If we're talking about 10% of the world, it's like we're being optimistic here. I think.
No.
I think it's not necessarily influencers. I think it's the companies who are commissioning the adverts to sell their product, because not every company, but like any company worth their salt cares about how their product looks, and if they want to look good, then they won't go an AI route. I think you're right in that a lot of I'm going to say generic influencers will go an AI route because they haven't got the budget or it doesn't make a difference to their numbers.
Yeah,
and those are the people who will.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a long thing to see. I think we're still really in the beginning. But it's like Jay asked, have you been used any AI tech in your work nowadays?
No. Actually, I haven't touched a single AI since it came out. Like not even ChatGPT or anything like that. I don't really find it very interesting. Like I see the results coming out of it, and I think it's quite impressive. But I don't know.
But when we're talking about results here, like you're saying, you didn't try. You can always use as a tool. I think what is the biggest problem with AI nowadays is like I get a lot of creative directors in agents that make like a fucking amazing image, sell that shit to the client, and come to the studio and we say, listen, man, how much you have to do that?
To do it.
And of course they don't have the money and they don't have the time.
Yeah.
So nowadays is what you said in the beginning. You promise less and delivery more. They promise a lot more than physically can be delivered for the money or the time they have.
Yeah.
So we're getting a lot of trouble here. It's not only me seeing that. I have a lot of friends.
That's a shit rolls downhill problem.
Yeah, that's definitely something that they shot themselves in the foot for promoting that at all.
There'll always be someone willing to do it for that price.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the problem. But also, we're talking about AI. AI is still a tool. Like we've been using on the studio. Like we use Topaz. Like we have to blow up things to make things better. you know, and even like to direct things, you know, like to art direct, you know, to talk to the art director. Sometimes if takes really long express how you see an image
Yeah.
to the illustrators or to the art director when you're directing a film. I think for me, Midjourney helps me quite a lot because I'm not a good drawer.
Yeah.
So it helps me to, in 10 minutes, generate like 50 images based what I'm describing to him. And based on that, I can pick 3 images and I can say to the art director, this is the kind of the light, this is the kind of the angle. I'm not copywriting anything, and that we recreating the artwork based on that. That saves a lot of time as a tool, you know. And we did that on the Sony film.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it's not anymore any less than like the what comes out. Like I don't really care what comes out, honestly. Like it could be good, it could be not. It doesn't really matter. I think the reason why I haven't touched it is because I have a lot more fun doing it on my own. I think it's just so much more fun trying to figure things out. It's a little bit like it's a little bit like trying to solve a problem without going to Google and answering my math problem.
That's
like
the question. Yeah.
I kind of want to solve the algebraic problem myself because it feels so rewarding to do so.
Yeah, you got the accomplishment.
Exactly. That's the reason why I haven't touched AI. I haven't needed to touch AI since then. Like I've been even like going to clients and doing all that. Like it's not that I'm terrible at drawing as well, but I think it's like I really like just like getting my hands on. And then when I think of something really cool, I'd be like, oh man, I can't wait to go into After Effects and just freaking get that shit done and kind of like, you know, like this is what it's gonna look like. And then when they say yes, they're like, oh cool, well I have an After Effects. I'm just gonna animate it now. Like it's all gonna be good. So yeah, I think the matter of AI is it's not because what they're generating is bad. On the contrary, I think it's pretty decent to get your point across. But I just love creating. It's just something innately in me. It's just the artist in me being like, I want to do something. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
just
think
nice
that's
that it's
great.
come all from you. You know, it's your ideas and
Yeah.
your evolution as an artist or a
And also I like the idea that if the reason why a client or someone came to me is because they want to see something from me. Like they chose me. They chose me. So I feel like I'm obligated to kind of give them a result that came from me. Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I create as well. Yeah.
Not to move away from AI and stuff, but I use
we should.
Oh, I was going to depress all of us. Look at Thiago. He's starting to cry. It's so sad. Oh no.
What do you prefer out of like Cinema 4D and Blender? Like, is there a space in the professional world to just be completely Blender, or does Cinema 4D still have its area? Like, what do you like? Say in the next like 5 years, how do you feel the situation will unfold?
I think a lot of people will start like. This is where it gets controversial because I have controversial takes.
All about controversy tonight.
I love Blender. Blender is great. Blender is fantastic. It's not my primary, but I love Blender. And I think there's so much potential. And it should be part of like industry standard, I think, especially at the price point that you get, which is free. The tough thing is C4D is really embedded into the motion design industry to the point where they create like the software around it, like cloners and things like that. And in fact, most motion graphic staples such as cloner and like shapes and all that stuff.
But even Cinema 4D has, even After Effects has Cinema 4D Lite embedded
exactly
within it.
Yeah, so they're really tailored to motion design. And so that's where I think it's kind of hard to break away from that whole format. They created an entire pipeline, whereas Blender will take a lot more effort to get to that point. And Blender doesn't really have a kind of studio format. From what I have like worked with it and things like that, it's kind of difficult to like, for example, like create a whole pipeline if you're working in a team. If you're working on your own, Blender is fantastic. But from what I've seen from Cinema 4D, it works both ways as a creator on your own and also as in a studio. Like it works quite well. Especially the integration with After Effects is insane.
So
So
if you were starting if you were speaking to someone who's starting out, which one would you recommend
oh, Blender,
they pick up?
100% Blender. Because if you're starting, why would you dish out so much money if you're just starting and you
Sure.
don't know whether you're going to be part of the industry yet? You start with Blender and you see if you have any fun with 3D and like if you're having such a fun time. And I know some studios who work in Blender. Rocket Panda works in Blender, and they're fantastic.
Mm.
They're amazing people. So like I feel like Blender there is a stop in like I'm sorry, there is a space where Blender exists in the motion design community.
If you get into Blender and what have you, and want to shift to Cinema 4D later on, are a lot of this? I mean, obviously the basic stuff is the same, but are a lot of the other skills fairly transferable, like the logic and all that kind of side of things, I assume?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Maybe they might need to get used to cloner system and C4D's really shit rigging. But
Why haven't they sorted out the rigging in Cinema
that was sort
4D
of
yet?
rigging,
Like, it's
man. It's so
ridiculous.
bad. It's awful. Like Blender is so good at that. But yeah, it's super transferable. And in fact, I think Redshift is better in C4D than like any renderer I've seen. That's controversial. I know some people who would die for Octane, but yeah,
Yes,
regardless.
have you used much of like real time stuff like Unreal Engine and things like that?
You know what? That's my next thing I need to learn. Unreal. That's the thing I need to learn. I don't
Maybe
think
think
the
because you're doing your video game. I was like, oh, okay, Unreal,
Yeah,
good to know.
probably. It's definitely yeah. But I think like I'm actually surprised. I thought Unreal would come in a lot faster than I thought it would. I thought it'd be integrated in the motion design community by now in some way.
Yeah,
But like I was
it
thinking
seems it seems a bit more
maybe
VFX driven,
yeah.
if anything.
Because like I was thinking, like live shows, maybe they can integrate Unreal into it so that way they can actively like edit text and things like that. Like that would be
Mm.
really useful if you're doing 3D graphics with like live editable chat text and doing things in real time. But yeah, it hasn't really caught on. I guess maybe because there's not a lot of tutorials. There's only like Winbush who does like the Unreal tutorials for motion graphics. So
Oh, right, didn't realize that. I thought there'd be
yeah.
more resources out there.
Well, to be fair, I didn't really look too much into it, but from what I know, he's the only big one who actually does like motion, like specifically tailored for motion graphics. So,
It's interesting because the quality of the image you can get out of Unreal nowadays is crazy, especially if you've got, like a high end or a decent RTX card with your ray tracing or what have you.
yeah,
It's just
precisely.
nuts.
Yeah. It is really, really good. I think it's just
Bluzu did a few short films made all
on
in
Unreal.
Unreal before,
Did they?
yeah, in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They
Yeah.
did it quite a few years ago. It's not a new thing.
Yeah.
They test for the animation side.
I
I
just
think
like the idea that
it's,
you can build a world and then actually explore it a little bit as well. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
think it's just a matter of
it
like
looks really promising.
I think it's the learning curve maybe because it's a game engine
Yeah.
after all
Yeah,
like and it's just like a whole new other software. I think people would just want to be it's a shame to say this but most people kind of are tired of new softwares popping up all the time and like needing to learn
and
the new thing over and over again.
I
and
So
imagine
also
it's
it's like
a
what
really
James
different
said.
way of.
We all getting old,
we're
It's
getting
taking
old.
longer to learn things,
I
I think
Yeah.
imagine
maybe
with
the next generation will be fully Unreal,
like with
Yeah.
with Unreal, I imagine it's quite a different way of thinking about things as well, like the logic structure, because like you say, like it's a video game engine, and video game engines inherently are about you fake a lot of stuff to get the effect you want because you've got limitations on like say, I don't know, RAM or processing power like back in the day. So I
Yeah.
imagine the logic from that probably passes on through and there's probably a lot of
It,
weird ways of doing things.
It might be. I'm not too sure because I know Unreal is super duper powerful and computers nowadays are so freaking amazing.
Oh, then
Like,
that's yeah.
oh my goodness. So I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, I definitely think it's like a different sort of way to like because I think Blender and C4D are highly transferable because they're both 3D softwares. It's the same thing but different buttons.
Yeah.
Unreal is very much different buttons and they also do different things. Like so yeah. Um, I don't know. But yeah, that'll be cool. I'm gonna learn that next time. Like it's
Yeah.
coming. It's coming. I want to learn it
For the next show reel.
For the next showreel. Everything's gonna be on Unreal.
That's
That'll be
good.
so funny. Oh my goodness.
Cool, guys. So we get into 1 hour show. So let's throw you two last questions.
All right.
James, anything you want to ask, or anyone watching want to
I
ask
guess
anything?
before you moved to London, did you have any kind of like hero studios in mind that you would like to work with? And then I'm assuming you did work with them. And how, is it a bit of a case of don't meet your heroes, or did it all go down exactly as expected?
I think it went down exactly as it was. I think I didn't really think about this now, but even now, right now, I'm working with someone I really admire, and they are super nice. And I think it's like everyone that I've met so far have been really kind and nice, and it's actually fantastic. It's not like a don't meet your heroes thing. I think it's incredible. So yeah, especially as like a fledgling motion designer 2 years ago, and you're like, oh, I don't think I'll ever meet these guys, and it's almost like a dream come true.
It's
So
nice.
yeah.
It's such a supportive. It is a very supportive community, I always think.
It
It's
is,
nice
yeah.
that it's not us versus another studio or vice versa. Everyone's like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
everyone's a friend.
I think everyone's like, oh,
Yeah,
I could grab a beer with you guys, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming back to that, yeah. Is there anyone that I want to? I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head. I feel like, yeah, everyone I've worked with, they're all amazing. They're all fantastic.
That's nice. And all right, so our last question: what can we expect from you? What is your plans? Where we've been seeing you doing a lot of personal work. You're trying to push a lot. Testing a lot of new things. What is the next stage for you?
God, should I make this a joking? Okay, you know
You,
what?
you can do whatever you want.
Everyone's doing a short film, so I think I might do that next, maybe.
Mhm.
Like a short piece, like something that I want to get off the ground. But maybe and then after that I'll be like,
second and a half.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe a video game. Who knows? That'll be fun.
Do you think they'll stick around in London, or just, the world's the oyster kind of thing?
Oh man, I'm gonna stick around in London for a while, but I do want the world to be my oyster. That sounded weird. I would like to travel around the world.
I think it's a really good job. Then you can do that. I think nowadays with the internet, I think it's a lot possible, especially after the pandemic with everyone remote. Open a lot more opportunity. Even you can be. If you have internet, you can work, man. That's why it is.
I think so too. Yeah, so
you can work from Brazil.
Yeah.
You can work from Brazil.
There's already proof right here.
Can be it can be anywhere nowadays. It's I think if you have a good internet connection, you're fine.
Yeah, I think I'll be true. Yeah.
Cool. So nice to see you, man. We're hitting just a little bit over 1 hour. So it's a bit late for you guys, and still
but early for you guys.
That's all right. Go I can talk about this all day. You give
yeah. I don't even know when is the next Evil.
When is the next Evil?
we
need to announce a date, but we'll put the date on social media next week.
Opening the calendar. Yeah. So the Evil live stream is always the last Thursday of the month. So I assume it's going to be on the 26th of September. But I think the next Evil show is. Gosh, I'm lost. I think it's October, so it's the 8th of October. And we have only 2 more this year, the 8th of October and the Christmas show in December. So wow. It's been really quick this year.
Jesus. Oh my
God. Yeah, it's crazy. So man, thank you so much. Thanks to be inspiration, showing like the passion you have. And
no. Thank you for having me. Oh my God. You guys are amazing for having all this shit. So
Thank you. Yeah, we like just talk,
yeah, I like just talking.
So that's how it is. We catch up next month in London anyway.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
That'd be nice. So we're gonna take the Instagram with the next live stream and the next show in the next few weeks. Okay. So thanks so much everyone to join us. Thank Yat to share his time and give us a little bit the pleasure of the spark he has, the
the
motion
spark.
graphic.
Yeah. I hope I hope that the spark transferred to everyone.
Like a sparkly
That
filter on the
spark
camera.
is like with the eyes. Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks so much. Take care, guys.
Thanks.
All
See you
right.
later.
Thank you, guys.
Later. Let me.
Do I get off the call now?
We still.
Oh, we're still live?
We're still live.
Wait.
I don't
They kidnapped
remember
me.
how
They
to...
have me trapped here in this house. Please let me out.
Anthony.